couldn't agree more. If somebody's got a specific regulation that they think is a concern, definitely bring it to the county commission. Let's take a look at it. If it doesn't make sense, for crying out loud, we'll get rid of it. There's no reason for it, we'll get rid of it. City-county cooperation, Dan talked about it, I agree. I think that there's a real need to make sure that we have a virtual marriage between the City Council and the Board of County Commissioners. I feel blessed. I've got a number of friends serving on council right now, and I feel that I can accomplish that task. My time's up. If I get time, I'll come back to this a little bit. Thank you.
One of my observations is that Pueblo County does not have the toughest regulations on the Front Range. There are other cities that have tougher regulations. But you know what? Developers and builders prefer to build in other communities because even though the regulations are tougher, there is certainty. The complaint is that in Pueblo County, as they go through the bureaucratic process, they spend a lot of money, get halfway through, and the rules change. And people have to go back to square one. And that uncertainty is such an unhealthy cancer that exists in a community. And so one of the keys is it's not just regulations, and that is true. We need reasonable regulations. But the enforcement of regulations have to be common sense, and there has to be certainty for those that are in the process.
Well, of course, I agree with that. We've all heard the horror stories about, oh gosh, you're doing something and then the page changes. I've heard different things from different agencies, some city agencies, some county agencies, some city and county agencies. And so it happens. And so what you got to have is you have to have an aggressive group of folks in your city council and also in your county commission that allow appellate issues to come to you so that you can kind of correct that plane. Because if we have a staff member out there that's kind of playing like a little Caesar or something like that, you got to knock that back because it's not appropriate for anybody. I agree with Dan on the issue of economic gardening. I think it's a critical issue to help businesses get started. I would like to see a real aggressive effort for that, to not only work with the businesses that are wanting to get started, but the businesses that are already here. And then finally, I guess that's the points that I wanted to make after that. Thank you very much.
Okay. What I would add to that is a specific example that occurred just a couple of weeks ago. PWAG, the Austrian chain company. I dealt with that company a year ago this month when they were first looking at this community. Great personal friends and a good company. But in the announcement that we had down at the convention center, a statement was made by the city manager that said, and we're going to ensure that we grease the skids, that we make it easy for you to build in Pueblo. Okay, now that's a good statement, but what's telling about that is, why is that not every business that wants to build, that we're greasing the skids and letting them build in Pueblo?
Well, we're down to our last question. Dan, you'll handle it first. This is an issue that's come up over the last few years, and so I ask you, do you think commissioners should be allowed to keep working in other jobs or businesses if elected?
You know, I don't think they should. Working as a commissioner, if it's like running for a commissioner, is a full-time job. I tell you, it's important. The commissioners get a pretty good salary, and the expectancy of the citizens of this community is that you're getting a full-time commissioner for a full-time salary. So I think it's very, very important that we have the commitment and the work ethic to put the time in the office, meeting constituents and doing the work of governing of this county in order for us to maintain the stature that commissioners need to have. If you don't, then you undermine the integrity of the office.
I agree with Dan 1,000% on running for office is a full-time job. God bless you. If anybody hasn't done it, try it. It's just an amazing process. But I disagree. Frankly, it is a full-time job. And a commissioner, when you're elected as a commissioner, when you're elected as any kind of elected official, particularly at the county level, you're supposed to be ready 24/7. So whatever comes up, it doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, noon, whatever, you're supposed to be there. You're supposed to take care of it. And so, yeah, it's a very time-consuming process. I've always prided myself in, I rarely get only a 40-hour weekend. I usually work a whole lot longer than that. I have to go home and explain it to my wife on a regular basis, and it's not an easy thing to do. But bottom line is so yeah, do I think that that's what you should expect from a commissioner? Absolutely. But on the other hand it is a good salary, but I still think that folks should have the right to do anything that they want to do. Frankly, we have had some very good commissioners over the years, and I've worked with a lot of commissioners throughout the state that do many other things. I've got a dear friend that is a Republican friend of mine, is a commissioner over in Alamosa County. He's a rancher. And I don't think it's appropriate for him to say, for us to say, you got to give up your ranching business if you want to come in and work for the county. He's not a wealthy man. Most of the folks who run for these offices aren't a wealthy man. I am not a wealthy man. I have no plans to do anything other than being a commissioner. God bless you. I just want to have you hire me to be a commissioner. That's what I want to do. I want to work my butt off to do it. But the bottom line is, if I have the opportunity to invest in a business, I want to be able to invest in a business. Otherwise, you don't have your top talent go for these jobs because they can't afford to do it. They think what they need to do for their family. So will I work full-time for you? You betcha. But if you've got some kind of a business plan that comes along that maybe I can go ahead and join in as an investor, give me a call.
Terry talked about his work ethic, and I'd just like to mention my work ethic. Gwen, I mean, she's accused me for years of something going on because I spend so much time in the office. Not really, but I shouldn't do that.
You want to expand on that?
But what I can tell you, in 40 years of service through the city of Pueblo and Petco, I cannot recall once when I've called in sick and missed work. I've missed work because of operations and those sort of things, but I have a tremendous work ethic and will give the community of Pueblo their dollar's worth as a commissioner.
Okay, we'll move on to our closing statements. If you recall, Terry won the coin toss and elected to go first. That meant Dan gets to close the session tonight. So, Terry?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dan. I'll tell you what, I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have, and especially your recent revelations here. That's always something we'll find a way to use on you, buddy.
Yeah, you'll have 2 minutes now.
Oh, 2 minutes, that's right. I got to quit it. All right. I want to thank all of you for being here again. It's actually a blessing to be able to run for office like this. This is a lot of work, but I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun, too. So thank you very much for being here. As we discussed, and I hope that you got a better feel for both of us, Pueblo has a lot of wonderful assets. It is a beautiful town. It has beautiful people. But it has a number of challenges. We've talked about quite a few of those challenges tonight. I feel that I'm the most qualified candidate for this position, and I've tried to go ahead and outline that for you. I think that I have the right experience directly with the county. I've been there for 32 years. I think I've got the right vision. I share that vision with you folks. I think I've got the right energy. I love to work. It's one of the reasons why my wife is always mad at me. I love to work. If I'm elected, I will work to have open and transparent government where you have access to your leaders. I will work hard to expand and enhance our economic development efforts and go beyond what we're doing currently. Think outside of the box. Do whatever we can to land good paying jobs for as many citizens as we can get here. At the same time, I will work my tail off to make sure that any businesses we have here and we attract here respect our environment and that we will protect our water and our air and our land. And we will have a beautiful community just like our sister counties and sister communities to the north. They don't feel that they have to give up those things in order to have good paying jobs. Neither should we. And I would also work my tail off to make sure that we have the quality of life we deserve. My name is Terry Hart. I'm running for Pueblo County Commissioner. I am respectfully requesting your vote. Thank you.
Well, I hope that over the past hour I have demonstrated and communicated the passion that I have for Pueblo. You know, I grew up here. I went to school here. This is my home. I have the experience and the ideas that it takes to make Pueblo the best county on the Front Range. Now, let me share some distinctions between myself and my opponent. I am the candidate who has hands-on experience in creating jobs and attracting companies to our community. This includes companies that are very large, like Vestas, to the very small 10-person expansion at Solar Roast Coffee that we had 2 years ago. This includes responsibility for the negotiations and dealing directly with the decision makers, because I have the knowledge of what it takes to attract businesses to Pueblo. I'm the candidate who has managed hundreds of employees in large-scale government operations, not just a small attorney's office. As Director of Public Works, I was responsible and accountable for the administration of multi-million-dollar annual budgets and capital projects. And once again, there were never an incident of fraud, abuse of public funds. As an experienced engineer, I understand Pueblo. I understand the infrastructure, and I understand the needs that exist in this community. My concern for veterans is shown through my passionate work with the creation of veteran-owned businesses through the Veteran Business Initiative for National Sustainment, monies that Petco received as a federal earmark that are dedicated to creating veteran-owned jobs in this community. And unlike Terry, my opponent, I did not protest against companies like Grupo Cimentos for bringing their operation into Pueblo, a company, by the way, that's not only award-winning, but brings in $5.8 million a year in payroll and $2.2 million in sales taxes. I've spent my entire career in knowing budgets and dedicating my life to this community, and my time is up, and I have so much more to say. But I asked for your vote today, and thank you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being such a terrific and respectful audience. We're going to take a break, and then we'll get set up for the District 2 forum. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, thank you, my friend.